Good morning. I'm meteorologist Mike Seidel. Hope your morning weather is better than this, unless you like this. We've got a blizzard warning here in western New York and central New York State for the southern tier and just south of Buffalo. Winds could gust to 50, 55 miles an hour. They're beginning to ramp up right off the lake. It's right across the street. In fact, we'll show you what it looks like over in the parking lot. And you can see, keep an eye on the water. It's splashing up over the rail into that parking lot at the restaurant. No doubt nobody will park there. In fact, 4 years ago, we were over there, and someone left their car there overnight, and they had to come over and literally chop it out of the ice to get it out of that parking lot. So we've got the wind, we've got the snow, and we've got problems on the highways. Here's some video we shot about an hour and a half ago. This is up off Camp Road and the New York State Thruway. By the way, the Thruway is fine right now. We'll keep an eye on that for you because we could have some closures because of the wind and the snow taking the visibility down to almost zero as the wind blows right across I-90 between Buffalo and Erie, those areas that are just wide open. On the radar, you can see we've got a pretty good band over us right now. It's not heavy snow, it's light to moderate snow, but when you combine these wind gusts 35 to 40 miles an hour, that brings down the visibility. Schools are closed today. Airport is doing okay right now. We've got about a half a dozen cancellations. Southwest Airlines canceling some flights. That airport, Buffalo Niagara International, can handle this snowfall. It's the wind that's going to be the issue. Temperatures mid-20s, wind chills in the single numbers, and it's going to stay windy for several days. A lot more snow to come for those snow belts, Jim, as we finally here almost into the 1st of March get a decent lake effect event, which we typically get from like mid-November until early January. Then the lakes freeze, but we haven't had enough cold weather to ice over the lakes. So that's an advantage for those of folks who like to see it snow 2, 3, 4 inches an hour. Yeah, and we typically get less lake effect events certainly this time of the year. You're absolutely right, Mike. But the fact that the lakes are wide open, guess what? Up the road a piece is Hamburg. All right, south of Buffalo, about 13 miles. That's where Mike Seidel is this morning. Great shot on the lake there, Mike. And, you know, I meant to ask you this last time. Because the lakes are open, because their lakes are high, have they had erosion problems as well? And are they anticipating that with this event? They have had erosion problems, all the lakes, because the lakes are high, and also they're anticipating that, and thus the lakeshore flood warning goes until 1 a.m. later tonight. So we've got all day to deal with this wind, and it's even going to be windy tomorrow. We'll see if they extend it. But look at the wave action here on Erie. This is at Hoax Restaurant, if you're familiar with the well-known restaurant here in Hamburg, right on the water. And this is the waves crashing on the seawall, and then the wind, which is gusting to 40, blowing the water up onto Highway 5. You can see cars driving through slush and Lake Erie water this morning. Now, the snow where we are has lightened up. It just down the lake in Dunkirk, top of the hour, they're S+. Still heavy snow, quarter-mile visibility, and gust upwards 37, 38 miles an hour. So a lot of water on the roadway. The plows have been coming by trying to push the slush and the water that's freezing off the road so it's safe. But we're going to be dealing with this through the afternoon. The blizzard warning goes until 4, and then we worry about the lake effect in those favored areas south of Buffalo and north of Syracuse. Let me give you an idea of how strong the wind is. Now, I'm next to the restaurant, so I'm blocked from the wind. I'm going to come out here and get into the open wind, and this is what's dangerous, the wind and then the icy conditions, because we've got ice out here, and it really just, you know, you can see how this here, that's Lake Erie water that's frozen against these telephone poles here on Highway 5. The wind coming right across from Ontario, and there is nothing to stop it. And I can feel a little bit of the spray right here hitting me. And when it hits my jacket, it freezes in just a moment's time, and you can feel how rough the jacket is. So we've got these waves crashing. That's going to be a continued problem, very localized. The bigger problem will be the wind across all of the northeast to New England, even if you don't get the snow. Jim?
Incredible shot, Mikey. I mean, so much going on between the winds, the spray. You could see it going across the road, you know, hitting those cars. You can hear the wind through your microphone. You can see it, you know, the ice. So just phenomenal work out there. Go get dry. Go get warm for a few minutes, Mikey, and we'll check back in with you. Now, you might
Good morning from Hamburg, New York. I'm meteorologist Mike Seidel. Welcome back. AMHQ on a Thursday morning, and a windy morning all across the Northeast and Mid-Atlantic, even if you're not getting what we're getting here, which is snow and blizzard warnings and temperatures in the mid-20s. This is Lake Erie, one of the spots we're concerned with lakeshore flooding, and we've got it going on, the water going up and over the wall. Look at it blowing across Highway 5 and freezing on contact. We've walked over here. You get out here into the wind, and you can feel that just the consistent wind across the lake, 25, 30 miles an hour. We're gusting close to 40. Dunkirk has had heavy snow, and on the radar you can see it's snowing pretty hard in many areas except right here in Hamburg. But you get up into the Chautauqua Ridge, the Boston Hills. We've seen Charles Peak shot near whiteout conditions or just whiteout for a time when those winds gust and it blows this powdery snow. We're also going to keep an eye on the thruway I-90 between Buffalo and Erie for potential closures, but you're going to have to slow down and be careful. Feeling some of that icy water coming off Erie. Lakeshore flood warning goes until 1 a.m. tonight. So we'll watch this. The lake has already come up 3 feet with this west wind pushing the water against this side of the lake from the Canadian side. And the wind's going to stay up right through tomorrow and tomorrow evening, finally dying down over the weekend. But a lot of snow to come, especially considering that Buffalo and Syracuse are way, way down. Buffalo's down 20 inches of snow so far this season. We just haven't had a good lake effect. But here it comes as we head into the final days of February. Jim?
Mike, this is
a perfect setup for lake effect, especially in the Tug Hill Plateau and even where Charles Peak is, here in the area south of Buffalo.
Yeah, and we're going to check that out. It's kind of interesting.
That's where we find meteorologist Mike Seidel. And Mike, the city could pick up several inches. We see the lake is very angry behind you. They're just really getting the brunt of this system.
Yeah, right now it's all about the wind right now in Hamburg because we're not getting a whole lot of snow. It's all around us. We'll show you the radar in a moment. First, look at this. Lake Erie, it's angry. The wind from the west blowing the water on this side of the lake over the wall and on the Highway 5. The water has come up about 3 feet on this side of the lake because of the force of the wind from the west. It's running sustained in the mid-20s, and we've had gusts almost 40 miles an hour. We could get 50-mile-an-hour gusts. We got a blizzard warning south of Buffalo and all the lake effect belts here in the southern tier, Chautauqua County, the ridges, and the Boston Hills till 4 p.m. on Friday. So look out for snowfall rates of 1 to 2 inches an hour, and some spots will get a foot or 2 feet of snow in those preferred areas, not in the city of Buffalo, where, by the way, schools are closed today. So it's the wind, the lakeshore flood warning that goes through this evening until late tonight. We're going to be watching this area and the harbor areas like Dunkirk, where they've had heavy snow, and the Buffalo Harbor. Take you back to about 6:30 this morning when we got our snowfall here. We've had several inches of snow here in Dunkirk. I'm sorry, in Hamburg. Dunkirk's had more. And you can get a sense of the snow and the blowing snow because the temperatures are so cold, low to mid-20s. It's very powdery. And those areas that get the heavy snow will have whiteout conditions, and travel could be next to impossible in those spots. So the wind is going to be whipping not only here, but all across the northeast of New England as this storm heads into Ontario and Quebec province. It's going to take a couple of days. As I back out into the wind, and it's blowing me because I've got ice and rubber boots on. So you can see how it's just blowing me in that direction. So Alex, it is just a wild morning out here, and the locals are saying this will end up being as bad as it's been all winter, especially in the lake effect areas, because we have not had a lot of lake effect. Buffalo goes into the storm down 20 inches snowfall season to date.
Wow, Mike, yeah, pretty incredible as you barely can hear anything with the waves crashing, the wind whipping around. And
Interesting, too, where Mike...
And our very own Mike Seidel is there in Hamburg, New York. And, Mike, the winds have been whipping around. The waters have been sloshing around as well. Give us an update. It's looking pretty rough.
Well, it is. Nothing's going to change today, tonight, and into tomorrow. We're going to have these winds. We're gusting about 40 miles an hour, sustained 25. That's pushing the water up on this side of the lake. It's up 3 feet. So that's why we have the lakeshore flood warning. And one of the impacts that we've seen before, this is not rare, but it doesn't happen very often, is this wind pushing the water, crashing over the wall, and then onto Highway 5 here in Hamburg. There goes a little bit on my end, and the hard thing is I'm standing on ice, and my boots are bottom with rubber, and then the wind gets to your back. I want to come over here and show you what's going on with the moisture. Hang on to the rail here, and look at this. Look at these icicles. This wind blowing this way, so the water frozen, and then the icicles here. Kind of a good photo op. So stalactites or stalagmites? Oh gosh, I always get that confused, up or down. But everything's coated in ice out here. This is the outdoor deck at Hook's Restaurant, a great place during the warmer months of the year to watch the lake, which a lot of times is like a glassy surface, like your local pond. Not today, though, with these waves crashing on the seawall and throwing the water over. Remember, we have a blizzard warning until 4 p.m. tomorrow afternoon. That's for the higher terrain, those lake effect snowbelts, Dr. Postel, and they are going to get whacked, especially the Tug Hill. Looking at the HER model, where that band just sits up over there later today and right on through tomorrow. So we're talking feet of snow, and the biggest lake effect event of the entire season here as we get to the very end of meteorological winter.
Yeah, Mike, and whoever gets underneath that snow band later tonight and tomorrow will get a lot of snow because it's not going to move very much and it's going to snow very hard underneath it, probably a couple of feet, no problem.
Is Hamburg, New York. That's where we find our own meteorologist, Mike Seidel. The city planning on getting up to or around 8 inches of snow. Oh, Mike, goodness, we just saw that wave, the mist come through and hit you. It looks miserable out there.
Yeah. Well, I'm layered up, and I don't feel a thing. Well, I feel a little bit of it, but I've been in this kind of situation before where you get hit by this 35, 36-degree water, and what happens is just, I don't know if you can see it, but the back side of me, the ice, the water freezes, and I'm just caked in ice, whereas on the front side, the downward side, I don't have much of anything on me. Take a look at Lake Erie. Boy, it is churned up, that wind whipping all night, shifted around, and we got the cold air in here about 10, 11 o'clock last night. The snow, rain went to snow. We've had several inches here. We haven't had a lot of snow, but the wind is just furious. You can hear it roaring through the trees. We'll likely have some power outages, and the heavy snow will certainly be up in the lake effect belts. But look at the water going over 5, and everything downwind that gets hit by this water gets encased in this ice. The blizzard warning till 4 p.m. tomorrow afternoon, not for Buffalo, but for those areas up and away from 90, where you get the elevation, like Perrysburg, the Lake Chautauqua area, Mayville, New York, those areas, the Boston Hills that are favored, that haven't gotten a lot of lake effect this year. And also it goes for the Tug Hill Plateau, where they could get 3 or 4 feet of snow. But the wind will continue to just howl through tomorrow because the storm is not going to move very fast. It continues to deepen. It's going to limp across Ontario into Quebec province. So we're going to be dealing with that. Now the lakeshore flood warning goes until later on tonight. We're watching this area and also the harbors, like in Boston and Dunkirk. The water earlier had already come up 3 feet. That's because that west wind pushing the water from the Canadian side over to the American side, and that brings like a surge up on this side of the lake. So, Alex, a wild weather day out here. Certainly not fit for man or beast, but maybe for some meteorologists. It's just, biting cold, and this water, when it hits you in the face, it's like a slap in the face. It does wake you up.
I can imagine. Mike Seidel braving all the nasty weather for us. We appreciate it. We'll be checking back with you there. Try to maybe hunker down a little bit, get a little quieter and drier in a hunkered down position. Heavy leg.
Speaking of Lake Erie and that snow that's just really been going on, the gusty winds as well, we want to get to our own Mike Seidel. He's in Hamburg, New York, where it has just looked also pretty miserable there, Mike.
Yes, indeed. You got to be layered up here. We've got winds that are sustained in the mid-20s. They're gusting up around 40 miles an hour. And because of that, since late last night when the rain went to snow and the cold air came in, we've got a very whipped up Lake Erie. We've been showing you this all morning. This is Highway 5 outside of Hamburg. We're just down the lakefront from Buffalo. We're concerned about water in the harbor there, and here too. The water's up over 3 feet above average. And you can see the water action, the water getting blown over Highway 5. We've had the plows going back and forth, pushing the water and the slush off the highway to keep the highway safe and to keep it open. But everything getting hit by the water is getting frozen, getting encased in ice like the backside of me. Meanwhile, this morning we had the snowfall. Last night and this morning we've had upwards of 2 to 3 inches of snow, so not a lot of snow as the low pivoted by and the cold air wrapped in. But that combined with the wind, we had some whiteout conditions earlier up in the Chautauqua Ridge and up in the Boston Hills where we had heavier snowfall. In fact, Dunkirk down the lake had heavy snow for about an hour this morning, so nobody's verified blizzard conditions yet. But the blizzard warning goes until 4 p.m. tomorrow afternoon, not for Buffalo itself, but those lake belts south of Buffalo and north of Syracuse, where the Tug Hill Plateau could get as much as 3 or 4 feet of snow. So Dr. Postel, it's ice baby out here. Anything downwind from the lake within about 100 or 200 feet is getting coated, and we'll watch for those lake snows to set up later tonight and tomorrow. Real quick, here's the plow. Here's one of the plows going by, and he's got his blade down. As he gets up here, you'll see what he's doing is pushing water and slush out of the way, although it just comes blowing right back from Lake Erie. Dr. Postel?
Yeah, Mike, you're surviving it well out there, and conditions are going to get worse.